Okay, so hello and welcome to our MESA Global Academy and Center for Contemporary Arab Studies at Georgetown, who's hosting us today. Unfortunately, Mimi is not going to be able to be here today with us, but I know that her heart is very much here. And I am very excited for this particular talk. I was saying that. It's my own ignorance, but I know more about the Ottoman Yemen than what's going on contemporarily. And it is extremely important for us to have up-to-date information, and we are very, very lucky that we have two MESA Global Academy fellows with us. Yahya is a graduate student from Georgetown University. He's going to do the moderating. But I wanted to say a few words about the MESA Global Academy uh, and MESA. So we are trying to help displaced scholars from the Middle East and North Africa region, broadly defined. And we have been very lucky to have more than 80 wonderful scholars from the region since 2019, and we are really working hard to have another cohort next year and the one after that too. As I don't need to tell you the contemporary situation, so I'll skip that. And I just want you to ask you to uh, if if you have any questions, start putting them on the chat. Everybody's very familiar with the Zoom, and if anything technically happen goes wrong, just be patient. We'll be back. That's that sort of thing. It's very classic these days. So, okay, you're not here to listen to me. You're here to learn about Yemen and the Houthis. So I'll just give the floor to Yahya and then to our wonderful fellows. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jedin, and thank you everyone for joining us here today. I'd also like to thank and give a special thank you to the Center for Contemporary Arab Studies and the Middle East Studies Association Global Academy for hosting this event. Just to give a brief overview of what we'll be doing today, we have Dr. Mansour Almaswari and Dr. Adel Dashela, who will present on the Houthi movement, with Dr. Mansour examining the emergence of the movement, tracing its roots from Yemen's Sa'da governorate to its takeover of Sana'a in 2014, and the events that followed the 2015 Saudi-led intervention. Then we have Dr. Adel, who will analyze the Houthis' relationships with regional and global powers, particularly after October 7th, 2023. Of course, this includes the GCC states, Iran, Lebanon, Iraq, the US, and the UK. So as Jidin said, you're not here to listen to me, you're here to listen to our speakers. So I'll just give brief introductions and then they can begin. Dr. Mansour is a postdoctoral fellow at Columbia Global Centers Amman. He also serves as a faculty member in the Faculty of Arts and Humanities at Amran University, Yemen, and is an English news writer at Al Bawaba News. His interdisciplinary research interests encompass a wide range of subjects, including, but certainly not limited to, comparative and world literature, post-colonial literature, Middle Eastern studies, Gulf society and culture, political sociology in Yemen and the Gulf, and more. Dr. Adel Dashela is a postdoctoral fellow at Columbia Global Centers Amman and a visiting researcher at the University of Turku, Finland. His current research focuses on post-conflict transitional justice from a social perspective, exploring the intersection of conflict and peace studies, as well as tribal dynamics in Yemen. They have both produced a plethora of work on the topic and more, and I highly recommend you explore what they've published and soon will publish. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Dr. Mansour to begin with his presentation, and then Dr. Adel will continue afterwards. So Dr. Mansour, you can jump right in.
Thank you so much, Yahya, for moderating today's seminar. I'm also grateful to both Dr. Mimi Karp as well as Dr. Shirin, the Center of Contemporary Arab Studies, as well as MESA Global Academy, for arranging this important virtual event on the Houthi movement. And today, Dr. Adel and I will explore how the Houthis rose from the remote mountains of northern Yemen, especially Sa'da governorate, to eventually take over the capital city of Sana'a in 2014, and how events unfolded afterwards. In the next 30 minutes, as designed for me, I will briefly touch on the Houthis as a family, a movement, an ideology, and how they formed alliances within their sect, within the Yemeni tribes, within the state, as well as within the political parties. And I will also try to unpack the Houthi movement from 4 angles: their origin, military, political, as well as sectarian and class dynamics. I look on how it emerged in the mid-1980s, evolved over time, and eventually became the ruling power and de facto power in many parts of Yemen, ruling over 70% of the Yemeni population. And my colleague, Dr. Adel, will speak about the Houthis from regional perspectives and how Houthis maintains their ties with the regional powers. I have prepared slides for sharing. If you don't mind, I'll share it with you. Is it reflected there?
It just came on.
Okay. And as I said, I will begin with the Houthis' origin. How did the movement started, and then Houthi as a sect. What is the Houthis' connection to the Hashemite or Zaydi Imamate, and how do the Houthis build their relationship with the different groups in the Yemeni society, and how they establish the political alliances with other warring groups. In this slide, I will highlight the Houthi as a family. Ruling Yemen, Al-Houthi family as a family from north of Yemen, from Sada, particularly from Dahyan in Majzid area in Sada governorate in the north of Yemen, with the father of the family, Badruddin al-Houthi, who is a religious scholar, Zaydi thought, and who believes himself as a superior clan because they extend to the chief family of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This theology is extended to the Hashemite or the Imamate, which was ousted in 1962 after 8 years of war between the Republicans supported by Egypt, as well as between the Imamates, or the older version of the Houthis, we can say, the Mutawakkilis, who were supported by Saudi Arabia. And then see his offspring, the 5 key offspring of the Hussein, who is the founder of the Houthi movement, which emerged from the believing youth, his brother Muhammad, as well as Muhammad Azzan, established in 1985, and his role as a member of parliament, as a politician between the years 1993 and 1997, representing Hizb al-Haq at that time in the first parliamentary elections in Yemen after unification. And after his killing in 2004, his younger brother, Abdul Malik, was emerged as the leader of the Houthi group, who is now considered as the supreme leader of the movement, and entertaining the highest authority among the group, both political, military, as well as class authority. Yahya is the another son for Badruddin al-Houthi, who also was a member of parliament between the years 2003, 2009, and he was a representative of the ruling party at that time. And after the war, the first war broke down in 2004, he left into Germany and actively participated in political activities from abroad, from exile, till 2013 when he came back, and then he was appointed as Minister of Education, and he tailored the education system in Yemen to fit the Houthi ideology as well as Houthi agendas. Muhammad, who is less known to public, but he is the mastermind of the Houthi movement at its original days, as he along with Muhammad Azan, Abdul Salam Fleita, Saleh Habra, and other Zaydi elites established what was called the Believing Youth as a secret movement in 1985 before the unification, because at that time parties as well as political entities were not allowed. Muhammad established the Believing Youth along with the other tribal Zaydis as well as Hashemite Zaydis, which the Believing Youth became the core of the Houthi ideology later on. And we talk about Abdul Khalik, who was also one of the Badruddin al-Houthis' sons, and who is a military commander and who participates in the 6 rounds of wars, which is well known in academia as the 6 rounds of wars between Houthis and the state. This is the Houthi family as a family, and Houthi as a movement or as a ruling movement, retrieving to retrieve the imamate ruling, which extended ruling Yemen for over 1,000 years till 1962. When we think of the Houthis as an ideology, we have to bear in mind that many mainstream media overlook the reality that Houthis are not only a pro-Iranian group, though they align with Iran in terms of ideology, but they are an entity in their own self, deeply rooted in the Yemeni culture, in the Yemeni politics, and in the Yemeni legacy. The Houthi movement, as a movement, established in the late 80s, it draws from the legacy of the Zaydi Imamate. And Zaydi Imamate was the ruling elite in the north of Yemen for over 1,000 years. And as I said, it was ousted in 1962, a revolution led by Republicans and were influenced by Jamal Abdel Nasser in Egypt. And at that time, the imamates fled into Saudi Arabia, and from Saudi Arabia, they established counter-revolution, prolonging the conflict between the Republicans as well as the imamates for 8 years, after which a reconciliation took place between the two warring groups in Saudi Arabia, in which the imamate came back into the political life in Yemen in another way, while the imamate was dismissed. Their ideology, from which their belief stems, kept revived, and still breeds the Houthi claims today. Therefore, Houthis are the latest version, we can say, of the Zaydi sect, descent from the Hashemite clan, tied to the imamate, and have their own version of ruling, which is a hybrid of imamate as well as Iranian model, a divine right, in which ruling is not considered as a political right, but rather as a positive or as a divine right. And the structure of the Houthis, Abdul Malik al-Houthi is considered second to God, having the authority above Prophet Muhammad, in term among his followers, with having many names like Alam al-Huda, the supreme leader, the leader of the revolution, and he entertains absolute power over all other committees or councils, with an idea that the Houthi is a jihadist idea. The Jihadi Council is the Supreme Council, which is like the Maktab al-Sayyid, or the highest authority, the Jihadist Council, because for the Houthis, jihad and wilayah are two driving forces among the group. That is to say, wilayah, loyalty to their sect, as well as the belief of jihad worrying the imperialism, as they claim, and standing anti the U.S. imperialism, Israeli atrocities, and so on, are true driving forces of the Houthi ideology. Therefore, the Jihadist Council ranks highest among the other councils, followed by the Sovereign Political Council, and then the Supervisory Council or committees, in which in every administration there must be a supervisor closely tied to the Houthis, and in every neighborhood and the main cities and the key institutions, the supervisor is acting as the highest authority, sometimes entertaining power over the ministers and over the cabinets. And the Revolutionary Council of the Houthis, led by Muhammad al-Houthi, particularly post-2014, after taking over power in Sana'a. Within this, there are other sub-councils like the Tribal Council, or what was established as the Council of Tribal Cohesion, with the religious authority, military as well as security authority, and cultural and media guidance, in which these two authorities mobilize the Yemeni society, propagate the Houthi agendas among Yemeni people, mobilize summer camps, mobilize cultural courses in the schools, in the universities, in the public space, and try to socialize the Houthi ideology to the Yemeni people and make it the destiny of the Yemeni people. And for that, Houthi is introduced to the Yemeni people as a model that must be followed. And disobedience to the Houthi leader is disobedience to God, because he is the guardian of the Ummah from disobedience, as he introduces himself, or as he is called by his followers as Alam al-Huda. Alam al-Huda is the guardian of the Ummah, not only Yemeni Ummah, but the Islamic Ummah in the broader sense. And he himself is introduced to his followers not only as a ruler of Yemen, but as a ruler of the Arabia, vying for ruling the entire Arabian Peninsula, and working for that through mobilizing millions of the younger generation in the schools, in the public space, to serve this end. When we look into the evolution of the Houthism as an idea extended from the Imamate, we can date it back into 1978. At that time, the Zaydi sect, or the Hashemite families, collectively established what was called Hukama al-Bayt, the advisors of al-Bayt, as they term themselves, and as an extension to al-Bayt. And their start of 80s, they established the cultural programs as well as teaching religious classes related to the Zaydis. And at that time, they proclaimed that they are organizing themselves to confront the extension of the Wahhabi as well as Salafi coming from Saudi Arabia, supported by the Salih's regime at that time through the Islah Party and other Salafi groups. And Houthis as well as Hashemites considered this move by Saudi Arabia in Yemen as a threat to their stronghold in the mountain areas in Sa'da, Amran, Hajjah, Dhamar, and other mountain areas. This was, in the form of the Believing Youth, which was established by a group of the both tribal as well as Hashemite Zaydis, and they established the Believing Youth secretly for the past 5 years. Muhammad Badruddin al-Houthi was one among those members who established the Believing Youth, and they secretly connected among the Hashemite clan, both in the stronghold of the remote areas as well as in the Hashemite elites who were at that time sharing power with the ruling party or with Salih's regime because many Hashemite families were at that time part of the political system and we are part of the decision. And then in 1919, after the unification, with the permission of parties to be established in Yemen, Hizb al-Haq was established as a front, you can say, a political front of the Hashemites, and it evolved into what was called in 1991 as Ansar al-Islam, or the Chant Group. And at that time, there was a kind of conflict among the two sects of the Hashemites. Those Hashemites, the moderate version of the Zaydis, as well as the extremist version of the Zaydis. Houthis were among the extremists who called to restrict rolling into the descendants of the Prophet Muhammad and Al-Hussein in particular, an exclusion to the moderate Houthis, who moderate Hashemites, who believed in selecting the ruler by merit. In 1998 or 1999, when Hussein al-Houthi came back from Sudan, he took over the believing youth into his own party, dismissing both Muhammad Izzan and other groups, and established his own model on the believing youth till 2001, after the US invasion of Afghanistan. This group became the group of Mujahideen. And at that time, Hussein al-Houthi was teaching the Quranic translation, the interpretation, the way in the handouts were distributed among his followers within their sect. And the state at the time was aware of the Houthi activities and were supported by President Ali Saleh in order to create a kind of balance among the sectarian groups, the Sunni groups, as well as the Zaydi groups. And they were also subsidized by the government at that time to contribute to their activities. And in 2003, when Ali Saleh paid a visit to Sa'da, the stronghold of the Zaydis, where Houthis settled, Saleh was surprised to find them chanting in Al-Hadi Mosque after the Al-Jum'ah prayer. And at that time, the harmony escalated between Ali Saleh as well as the Houthi group in 2004, as we will come to see later on in the 6 rounds of war. And in 2011, the name of the Houthi group, or Mujahideen, or chant group, became Ansarullah, and the name was changed while Houthis were participating with the stands in the 2011 uprising in the Change Square in Sana'a and other places, in order to keep aside the Houthi family from being used by its followers, so that followers cannot be sensitive to the term that this is a family rule, trying to replace another family rule of Saleh. This is how the evolution of Houthiism as an ideology emerged from 1985 into 2011. And here are the founding members of the believing youth, which was the core of the Houthi movement. That is, those are the Zaydi scholars, both on the tribal as well as the Hashemite clans, with the Abd Salam Fleita, the father of the Houthis nowadays spokesperson, Muhammad Abd Salam, who is representing Houthis or Ansarullah in the negotiations. And Muhammad Azzan was the Secretary General, and he was a tribal Zaydi scholar. He was removed by Hussein al-Houthi late 90s. And Dr. Abdul Karim Jadban, he was also member of parliament. Saleh Habra, tribal sheikh, Abdullah Razmi, Muhammad Badruddin al-Houthi, and others. But these are the key figures which established the believing youth as the incubation of the Houthi movement later on. How Houthis extend their network among other groups, that is a tactic which reflects how Houthis are pragmatic, and how they show themselves as using others more than are being used by other groups. When you see within the Imamat or the Hashemite Zaydism, Houthis started to establish their own ideology and of ruling. Their activities were restricted to this clan, to the Zaydi clan, Hashemite clan, and within this they extended through the tribal wing of the Zaydiism and those who were closely aligned with the Houthi ideology, especially in remote areas of Sa'da, Al-Jawf, Amran, Hajjah, and Damar. Within this, Houthis support the marginalized Zaydis in the rural areas and the remote areas at the cost of the elites or the Hashemite elites who are called the Dayramana, or those who are residing in the capital city and are power sharing role with Ali Saleh and other ruling groups. They established the moderate relationship with the moderate Zaydi group. They established relationship with the tribes in remote areas in the north, the tribes which were marginalized by the regime at that time for ruling ends, especially in areas like Hashid and other areas where the tribesmen were somehow marginalized, received poor educational quality with poor services, marginalized so that they can be loyal to the tribal sheikhs and they can serve as their warriors for their ends. And when we see how they expand using all against all, as their spokesperson said, Muhammad Abdul Salam, they consider the Hashemite families the core of the Houthi movement. And the Hashemite families, when we talk about the Zaydi sect, as well as the Imamate, the pre-1962 Imamate rule or model. And within this, the group expanded in Zaydi-dominated areas, Sa'da, Amran, Hajjah, Damar. These are the stronghold of the Zaydi sect, both in its moderate version as well as the extreme version the Houthis developed later on. And within this, the tribes, if you see, in the framework of the Yemeni tribes, having three major federations, Hashid, Bakil, and Madhaj. Hashid was the state tribe, and Ali Saleh ruled Yemen through Hashid. And that ignited resentment among the tribes from Bakil, especially in areas where always perceived as marginalized and favored for Hashid. Houthis utilized this and aligned with Bakili tribes to counterbalance Saleh's Hashid-based rule. And they supported tribal sheikhs, Hamis al-Awjari, Abdullah al-Razami, Dayfullah al-Rassam, Muhammad al-Ghuli, and many names of the Bakil tribe. And that served the Houthis too much to mobilize the tribesmen into their side. And they established the Council of Tribal Cohesion in order to draw and mobilize the tribesmen to their fronts to fight with them in their 6 wars. And they recruited as well those from within Hashid who were opponents to Al-Ahmar family in order to weaken the Hashid tribe from within and use them against each other. And they formed strategic relationship with the tribesmen around Sana'a circle and Nahm, Arhab, Bani Madar, Khawlan, and these areas who significantly facilitated for the Houthis to take role of Sana'a in 2014. Among the political alliances, Houthis as a Hashemite or as a Zaydi sect, they received the support from the ruling regime, Ali Saleh's regime at that time, while he was in power. They were supported to create balance with the Sunnis, especially with the Islah party, which grew wide and open beyond 2001. And post 2011, Houthis also established relationship with Saleh's party or People's Public Congress Party, and this accumulated their power to and enhanced their standoff. When we look into the years between 2005 and 2011, Houthis joined the Joint Meeting Parties, which was a cocktail of political parties. All were opponents to Saleh's rule, and Houthis validated their cause among these groups, including the rivalries Islah Party. And they also worked with the political parties of the Zaydi moderates, like Peopleist as well as Hizb al-Haq. And with the separatists, they supported the separation in 1994. Badr al-Din al-Houthi, when he supported separation and then fled into Syria, then to Iran through Saudi Arabia. And they participated in the National Dialogue Conference in 2012 as an armed group, refusing to disarm before the conference concluded. This capitalized the Houthis' presence on the political level. The armed rebellion of the Houthis began in 2004. We will go back to 2004 when the first clash took place between the Houthis and the state, after Houthis attacked a checkpoint in Marran in Sa'da, which led into the military operation led by the state at that time in 2004 in June. And it ended, the first round ended with the killing of the Houthi leader, Hussein Badr al-Din al-Houthi, the father of the Houthi movement. The second round of war took place after killing Hussein al-Houthi, only 5 months after his killing. After the accusations between the state as well as Badr al-Din al-Houthi, they both accused each other with mobilizing and breaking the ceasefire between the Houthis and the state. In November 2006, the war, the third round of war, was growing on larger areas in Sa'da, in Amran. And at this time, it took the form of pro as well as anti-Houthi groups supporting the state army to confront. And this Houthis got extended into many areas, and they adopted the gang arm. In June and between January and June 2007, fighting spread between Houthis and the state beyond Sa'da and reached to the Bani Hushash in the outskirts of Sana'a, 15 kilometers far from Sana'a. And it was a major threat to the state at that time, where the Republican Guards were mobilized and they took offensive against the Houthis in these areas. And Qatar at that time mediated for a ceasefire, which was later on broken in 2007 after the elections, presidential elections that took place in 2006. In 2007, Ali Saleh declared stopping the war, marking 30 years of his rule. And this was a puzzling game looked upon by many of the political parties, because the war was ignited and triggered or stopped by a call from the President Ali Saleh himself, without any vision for it to start or even a vision to halt it. In 2009, Houthis extended their dominance in areas in Sa'da, Amran, Al-Jawf, and they also started assaulting in Hajjah, in Al-Malahith, and in many areas. And in 2010, the Saudi Arabia interfered in this war, especially after Houthis in the sixth round took over the Jabal al-Dukhan in the Saudi borders, and Saudi Arabia contributed with airstrikes along with the Yemeni state, and the situation remained tense till 2011. And in 2011, with the Arab Spring uprising, Houthis mobilized their followers into the protest squares, and in Sana'a they established what they called the As-Sumud camps, and they participated in the revolution against Ali Saleh with the Islah, their prominent rival of Sunni group. And by the end of November, with the Gulf Initiative, Houthis refused to admit to the Gulf Initiative, considering as an external intervention in the Yemeni affairs, and continued their rebellion in many areas, including Al-Jawf, Amran, Hajjah, and mobilized their groups at both time and utilized the ousting of Ali Saleh from regime to establish a backdoor relationship with him in order to lead the counter-revolution against the pro-2011 government, which was established by Muhammad Salim Basundua. And
Mansour, I'm sorry. This is a very crucial moment in the narrative, but I just wanted to remind you of the time.
Yeah, I realize that I will take 3 to 5 minutes to conclude. I will just give key points to how things unfolded post 2011. And as I said, the Houthis rejected the Gulf Initiative for peace and viewed the Basindwa government as illegitimate. And after that, the National Dialogue Conference was established with 565 members. Along Houthis were part of the conference. And at that time, while they were participating in national dialogue in Sana'a, their armed groups were moving around Al-Jawf, around Hajjah, and around Amran, as well as in Dammaj. In 2013, with the conclusion of the National Dialogue Conference, Houthis rejected its outcomes, and they kidnapped the Secretary General of the conference, who's now serving as the Prime Minister of the legitimate government in exile, Ahmed Awad bin Mubarak, because they were demanding a seaport in the region, because they thought the outcomes of the conference dividing Yemen into 6 regions or 6 federations, with the federation which was considered as a stronghold of the Houthis, was without a port or a seaport to give them a lifeline to the outer world. And in July 2014, they stormed Amran city. It is 40 to 45 kilometers far from Sana'a, and killed Commander Hamid al-Bushaybi, who was a military commander, and who himself killed the Houthi leader in the first war. With things escalated, Houthis mobilized their armed groups from Amran into Sana'a in August 2014 under the pretext to counter the fuel hike, which was announced by the President Hadi against the will of the government at that time. When things escalated, national partnership agreement was signed and forged between the political entities, including Houthis, on September 21st. And the same day, Houthis entered Sana'a and took control of key government buildings and imposed a de facto government and established a Khalid Bahah cabinet in November 2014. But unfortunately, the government was not effective, and Khalid Bahah was kept under house arrest by the Houthis. Later on, after Houthis declared their storming Sana'a in January and February 2015, they put President Hadi under house arrest, and they terminated the parliament. Hadi submitted his resignation, but parliament was not there. Hadi fled into Aden. He was followed by the Houthis as well as Saleh. And while Hadi was fleeing from Aden into Oman, Saudi-led coalition was launched in March 26, 2015, with 3 objectives: to restore legitimacy in Yemen, to put an end to the Houthi coup, as well as to restrict the Iranian influence in Yemen. 3 objectives were just fantasy, and nothing was reflected. And after Hadi fled into Saudi Arabia, ruling from outside, Houthis established open relationship with the former President Ali Abdullah Saleh. They established the Sovereign Political Council, 50-50 power sharing, and established a government. But Houthis were having the upper hand upon this. That led into their dispute between Saleh and Houthis as allies, and they killed Saleh in 2017, putting an end to his 5 years of ruling, and ruling Yemen as the only, many parts of Yemen as the de facto group against the Yemeni people and against the legitimacy. Things fall like this with the war was going on. Adel will cover this part, inshallah, in his section. But on 2023, Houthis came back into the front line because their impact was beyond Yemen now, with their involvement in the military operation against the Israeli-bound vessels in the Arab and Red Sea, as well as against the American intervention in this, escalating further and growing beyond Yemen into regional as well as further global complications. I will try to stop here with highlighting the core of the problem of the Yemenis with the Houthis, because Yemenis oppose the Houthi ideology because it is a threat to the fair as well as equal society. Houthis look into ruling as a divine right, not as a political right, therefore considering others as a subject to their ruling, not as partners or as equal entities within the Yemeni societies. The Houthis as a movement is a supremacist ideology, but at the end they are the calculation, the sum of the failures of the political elites under the Republican rule. And Yemen nowadays is what it is. Adel, I will give you the space to cover the regional interventions in this, and by the end of this, I will answer any of your questions if we have time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mansour. I think given the activity in the chat, we all were learning so much, and you provided a lot of interesting information that was new to me. And as someone who's read some of the UN reports, I think you went into more detail than many international experts that I've seen at the time. I'll give the floor to Dr. Fadel to take it from here. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. And thank you all. Thank you for the kind introduction. And thank you, Center for Contemporary Arab Studies and MESA Global Academy for hosting this event. Today, I will be sharing some thoughts on the relationship between the Houthi group in Yemen and the global and regional powers. And I hope my contribution will add value to our discussion. I will start with Saudi Arabia, or the relationship between Saudi Arabia and Houthis, and Yemenis in general. In fact, Saudi Arabia is supporting any authority in Yemen that doesn't threaten its national security or interest. And as you know that one of Saudi Arabia's main concern is its long and shared border with Yemen, stretching for more than 1,500 kilometers. So this border remains largely unsecured, and the growing relationship between the Houthis and Iran is seen as a major threat to Saudi sovereignty and regional influence. The conflict between Saudis and Houthis started in 2004, between 2004, 2009, or 2010, when Houthis started to attack the Yemeni army. And at that time, in 2004, the war broke down between the central government of Yemen and Houthis in the mountains of Sada, border with Saudi Arabia. And in 2009, Houthis started to attack Saudi territory, or especially the cities of Jazan and other areas. In 2010, 2011, as you know that there was a Yemeni peaceful revolution against the former regime. So at that time, because Prince Sultan bin Abdul Aziz was the person who is responsible for the Yemeni issues or Yemeni file. So he died at that time, and there in 2011, the government of King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz was trying to make a relationship with the Yemeni government, and he couldn't continue to make like some kind of relationships with tribal leaders, with other social groups and religious groups. And in 2011, there was a Gulf initiative by Saudis, and there was some kind of counter-revolution. And Saudis didn't take care of what is Houthi doing in the tribal areas in the North Yemen. In 2013, 2014, there was like some kind of relationship between the former President Ali Abdullah Saleh and Houthis, just to attack the tribal areas of Hashid and some areas which were like supporting the Islamic Party of Islah. In 2014, Houthis signed a power sharing, what at that time, unfortunately, they have like arrested our president in 2015, and they put the government under arrest. So, and they took over capital of Sana'a. Saudis couldn't do anything at that time. They cannot make any kind of a negotiation with Houthis to continue or to make some kind of power sharing with other political parties, because at that time Houthis became as the main actor in our country, Yemen. In 2015, Saudis started to attack the capital of Yemen, as you know, the Arab coalition led by Saudi Arabia and supported by the United States. The campaign included like airstrikes and ground operations. Also, Houthis started to attack Saudis and started to attack many other areas in south and eastern parts of Yemen. Saudis continuing to fight Houthis for more than 5 years. However, they couldn't defeat Houthis, and then they started to think of another strategy. There was also some kind of like pressure to seek a peaceful solution, and Saudis at that time, they have their own problems. I don't know what had happened at that time, because the problem of Jamal Khashoggi and other problems. So Saudis started to find some kind of solutions or some kind of negotiation with Houthis, and Oman was the mediator between Saudis and Houthis. And it started to find to follow the to follow diplomacy instead of fighting. In 2022, there was an initiative by the Special Envoy for Yemen. That initiative just there were three like conditions or three terms. Number one, to open the Sana'a airport, and also to easing the blockade on Hodeidah and ceasefire as well. In 2023, Saudis started to negotiate with Iran directly, and there was a Chinese mediation between Saudis and Iranian regime. And we have seen that agreement between Saudis and Iran. At that time, also, the ambassador of Saudi Arabia started to visit Sana'a, to visit Houthis. And there was like a roadmap to achieve peace in Yemen, or to implement peace in Yemen. Houthis were just trying to sign that agreement with Saudis, not with the local actors. like with Southern Movement and other Yemeni political parties. They were trying just to sign the agreement with Saudis. However, Saudis rejected to sign any kind of agreement. They emphasized that there should be some kind of political agreement between the Yemenis themselves. Saudis will be like mediators. And in 2024, as you know, after October 7, we have seen complicated issues, and the war between Israel and the innocent people of Palestine in Gaza started. Then Houthis, as a member of Iranian Axis, started to attack Israel and to attack the maritime in the Red Sea. And United States also told Saudis that we have to stop the roadmap. There will not be any kind of like political agreement between the Houthis and other Yemeni political parties until Houthis stop their attacks in the Red Sea. And Saudis couldn't join the American coalition to fight Houthis, and they said that we are neutral. We will not join any military alliance against Houthis at that time. And until this moment, Saudis are not a member of the American coalition against Houthis. That's all about Saudis, just in short about Saudis and Houthis. Let us now to speak about Iran and Houthis. We must, I think, understand the relationship between Houthis and Iran. In the early 2000 until around 2010, Iran supported the Houthi primarily through ideology and symbolic support, without providing much military help. And this changed after the Arab Spring in between 2011 and 2014, when Iran quietly increased its support. Through its goods force, Iran starting supplying weapons and training to the Houthis in a covert way. And Houthis adopted Hezbollah's strategies and slogans and methods, especially using Iranian support to build weapons locally inside Yemen. In 2015, after the Arab coalition, or after the conflict started between Saudis and Houthis, there was like military alliance and axis of resistance between Houthis and other non-state actors in the region with support of Iran. So in 2015, the relationship between Iran and the Houthis became like a strategic alliance. The Houthis became of Iran axis of resistance alongside Hezbollah and in Lebanon and other Shiite groups in Iraq, and maybe in the Gulf state in Bahrain, but we couldn't hear anything from these groups in the Gulf states, especially in Bahrain and eastern parts of Saudi Arabia. Iran provided Houthis after 2015 with more advanced weapons, including drones, missiles, which helped the Houthis become a more serious regional military force. And since 2024, Houthis have been acting as Iran's primary proxy in the Red Sea. And they have started targeting ships, as I said, that linked to Israel, and are working more closely with Iraqi groups or militias. During the last year, Houthis' regional powers has grown because they adopted to support, or they started to support, as they mentioned, Palestinian people. So they received some kind of local support, regional support, because people in the Arab world, and even though in Yemen, think that or believe that innocent people in Gaza need some kind of support because there is some kind of massacre and genocide in these areas. Houthis started not only to make some kind of non-state actors in the region with Hezbollah and with other groups in Iraq, but also with ISIS and with other non-state actors in the Horn of Africa, especially in Somalia, with Al-Shabaab al-Mujahideen in Somalia. And Iran knows about this relationship. So now Iran has made the Houthis like the key part of its axis of resistance, especially after the killing of Hassan Nasrallah by Israel last year. It is very difficult right now to speak about the axis of Iran in the region because Iran's partners in the region, especially the former regime of Syria, collapsed, and Hezbollah also, and now only they have Houthis, who are the main non-state actors in the region, and Iran now is trying to make some kind of negotiation with the administration of Trump, and we don't know about the outcomes of this negotiation. Maybe there will be some kind of escalation, or maybe there will be some kind of political agreement. We will discuss the scenarios of these negotiations later if we have time. Let us to speak about Houthis and the United States. It is very important in analyzing the relationship between the United States and the Houthis group. It is essential to approach the subject from several interconnected perspectives. First of all, we have to know that the nature of the soft relationship between the Houthis and the United States can be understood as an extension of the cooperative ties the U.S. had previously established with Shiite militias in Iraq. These groups, in Iraq, collaborated extensively with American forces, both during the overthrow of Saddam Hussein and later during the campaign against ISIS in 2014. Secondly, there was some kind of intelligence and security cooperation before the Houthis takeover of Sana'a. The Yemeni intelligence agencies maintained a close cooperative security and information sharing relationship with American counterparts, particularly in the battle against Al-Qaeda in Yemen. And following the Houthis' capture of Sana'a and their subsequent control over state institutions, they effectively inherited this existing framework of cooperation and coordination. In 2014, when Houthis started to extend their military campaign in southern and eastern areas of Yemen, early indicators of the continuing cooperation appeared during the Houthis campaign in Al-Baida, a governorate. American drones provided air cover for Houthis forces targeting areas classified by U.S. intelligence as a stronghold of Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. And then during the Obama administration, there was some kind of diplomacy, and United States was trying just to achieve some kind of agreement or political agreement between Houthis and Saudis, between Houthis and other Yemeni parties. However, that administration couldn't achieve any kind of this. In 2018, there was a Stockholm Agreement. We know that at that time, the US played a key role in pushing for the Stockholm Agreement, preventing the Yemeni government from retaking Hodeidah. And UN special envoy at that time convinced Saudi Arabia and the Yemeni government to agree to the deal. And then all these things, especially the agreement of Stockholm, allowed the Houthis to keep control of Hodeidah and gain political and military advantage. For the Houthis, the Stockholm Agreement was a strategic victory that enhanced their domestic and international standing. Now, under the Trump administration, we have seen in 2021, at the end of Trump administration, labeled them a foreign terrorist organization, and then Biden administration appointed another American special envoy for Yemen, Mr. King, Team Leader King, I think, and then was trying to negotiate with Houthis directly with support of Oman. And there was, as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, some kind of roadmap or initiatives. However, all of these efforts have failed and couldn't do anything for Yemenis. And when Trump came to power, and this year he started to attack Houthis, and now for more than 1 month and 15 days, still the American military campaign continues against Houthis. We don't know about outcomes of this military campaign. However, we have to understand that maybe there will be something after the visit of Trump to the region. In conclusion, I want to say that the Houthis have missed many chances for peace and are now weaker due to US military strikes. Saudis still prefer a peaceful solution, and the visit of King Khalid bin Salman to United States before the American military campaign against Houthis, and during the American military campaign against Houthis to Tehran. And this means that Saudis still Saudis are still trying to find some kind of peaceful solution for the conflict. And maybe I think things will shift after Trump's visit this month. Talks between Iran and the US might move forward, and Israel could stop its military actions in Gaza. And Houthis right now are in a challenging position. Any move they make could be risky, pushing them out and ending their political project in Yemen and the region. And risky options, I think, for Houthis at this time, they could attack American military bases in the region, especially in the Gulf regions, or the interests of Americans or Saudis, or maybe United Arab Emirates, or try to fight for more control in Marib. But all these choices are dangerous and could backfire badly. So right now, we have to wait for the visit, and we will see all the options on the table. Maybe we will see some kind of military escalation. We will see some kind of negotiation or peace agreement. But we have to wait until we see the outcomes of the Iranian and American negotiations in Muscat, and the visit of Trump to the region, especially to Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states. Thank you so much. That's all. I'm very happy if there are some questions related to this topic, I can answer them. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so much. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Jaden.
Sorry, I just want to interject and say, like, this is